It's time to take a ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive with our co-hosts Alan Saunders and Zachary Smith.
Welcome into another episode of Steelers Afternoon Drive. I'm Zachary Smith. That is Alan Saunders. Alan, how we doing?
No shades today. We've got an afternoon drive in the rain.
Yeah.
That was a good look for one day for us. Now I'm just wearing wet and
yeah. I'm worried that Julianne thought that was always part of the attire, and it's not. As you can see, one day later.
As she said, she listens while she runs, so she's not usually
listens,
watching.
Right?
Yeah, listens. Yeah.
But Alan, you know what? An asterisk puts hands in pockets. We needed this rain.
There you go. I did not need this rain. I was good without it. I'm always good without the rain. I don't like it. The only part I don't like about living in Pittsburgh.
Something completely unrelated, but on my shoulder right now. Also, no free ads typically, but do want to shout this out. Also, everybody go and tag the Pro Shop because I think it would be sweet if we did have an afternoon drive Terrible Towel collab. But there was one that just came out recently that I had to get. It's just a bunch of Pittsburgh words, Alan, on here. And the collaboration was done with not my blood uncle, but Uncle through Turner's Tea, Uncle Jimmy on Twitter that put this together. It actually says Uncle Jimmy on the towel as well. So shout out to Uncle Jimmy for getting this done. But I think this is sweet. Just all these words people mentioned in the one of the 5-star reviews that my Pittsburgh accent comes out sometimes. So I had to cop one of these.
Yeah, we got to get the Yinzers guys have been asking us about some merch. We got to get some afternoon drive merch out there. I don't know about a towel, but we got to get some merch out there. It's on the list.
Yeah. You know, it would just be like, I wouldn't even say that I had this on a bucket list, but now that it's on my mind, it is Steelers Afternoon Drive Terrible Towel. I kind of want to make it happen. So even if it's not through the official Pro Shop, wink, wink.
Maybe we should go out like, since we do have a vehicle theme here, maybe we like a Steelers Afternoon Drive chamois. Like you could get it and just wash your car with the Afternoon Drive logo on it.
I'm for it. I'm all for it. I think the audience will be too. Looking forward to seeing what their thoughts are and how many people in the audience also copped one of those terrible towels. You can go and get it right through the Pro Shop. Anyways, Alan.
Did you see that the Pro Shop has opened up? The Steelers Pro Shop has opened a store in Ireland, which is just so
looks sweet.
Yeah.
Looks awesome. I know so many people that are going to be there. Actually, one of my friends is traveling and not even going to go to the game. They're just going to be in the area for the game and go to a bar there to watch it. I'm like, I don't know if I'm making that trip to do that, but have a blast, pal. He likes to travel in general.
Dublin's great, and I highly recommend it if you haven't gone, even if you're not going to the game. I'm not going, somewhat sadly. I've been to Dublin twice, so I don't feel like I've missed anything. I'm missing anything in terms of that part of it. I just don't like not covering a game. But
you just put a question in my mind there, though. So when you're not on location, and I know that there are outlets that have people that are in quotes covering the game without actually being boots on the ground. How does that? Are you literally just watching the game? How different of a experience is it?
Yeah, I've only had to do this a handful of times. Thankfully, I really don't like doing it. I really have fought, not literally, but figuratively, to go. I've never fist fought an editor. I've done a lot of things in my life as a journalist. That's never been one of them. But I've always fought to go and be there. I feel like it's almost always worth it. A trip to Ireland is one of those times where I don't feel like I have much of a business perspective leg to stand on there. It's hard to justify that expense for what will be one practice and one game. I mean, if they were spending the entire week there, I think it might be different.
Sure.
But so, I just watch the game on TV and then, we get transcripts sent out by the team from the players that go to the podium. The Steelers will put out some locker room video I mean, look, you guys know there are outlets that never are in the building when they cover the team. I think the locker room is what you really miss. The ability to get different perspectives from different players quickly. It's a little sort of not necessarily off the record, but like I'm not doing a full interview. I just need to go ask you 2 questions about something that happened, kind of nuggets that, that's the only way you can get them. And I also think you miss a lot of times, like I will see stuff that I was in the press conference for that people that were not in the press conference for write about. They'll totally misread the tone, or like maybe they'll only see the answer but not see the question. And sometimes that can really change what the words mean. And so I think like it's a lot easier to make mistakes when you're not there. You get things wrong a lot that you would not get wrong if you were in the building.
I gotcha. Okay. Good perspective. Yeah, that just popped in my mind right now. And honestly, I have another question.
Yeah, I hate doing that. And I'm sad that it will be happening this year. But I just couldn't justify the business expense of a trip to Ireland. And like I said, I've been to Dublin a couple times. We will talk maybe a little bit later this season. Talk about Dublin, I guess, and maybe give a little perspective for the people that are making that trip, because it's a great town and I've really enjoyed my time there.
Yeah, I think the week leading up to that week 4 matchup against Minnesota, we could certainly dive into that more, 100%. But I want to talk today about what happened. I think that a lot of people were thrown off and maybe a bit worried about the direction this is heading all of a sudden, with Cam Heyward taking a Vets Day on a Thursday after practicing on a Wednesday. Like, I mean, you can map out the week however you want, and maybe they're doing it because this is week 1. This is the way that they decided to do so. It's just typically you would think Wednesday would be the vet day off, and then he would be practicing on Thursday for this week 1 game. That wasn't the case, though, and I think it raised some alarm bells for people within the fan base. So certainly worth bringing up, because this is a topic I think we might be talking about all the way up until kickoff on Sunday, Alan.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly set off alarm bells for me too. You got to practice in 97 is now thinking like, what's going on? But like the thing, yesterday, Wednesday, was a padded practice. So like usually when you get into the season, the idea of vet days are just about limiting the total exposure to work of a veteran player. Whereas I feel like this week it might have been different, where like they wanted him to practice on Wednesday, but then what do you need to see from Cam Heyward in an unpadded practice? Pretty much ever, but especially at this time of year. I mean, I'll be perfectly honest. I don't think Cam Heyward would be appreciably worse if he didn't ever practice. Like I mean, maybe a little bit, but like I kind of doubt it. I think he would do just fine. His role is not super complicated. Like it's not like he has like hundreds of different things he has to prepare for over the course of a week. Like there's only 4 or 5 things you can ever tell a defensive tackle to do on a play. And so it's not like his job changes week to week based on assignment. It's not like he has to worry about matchups. Like it's kind of pretty basic. So like the Steelers do not care how much Cam Heyward practices. I think I've said this 100 times, so I'm gonna say it again. Like at no point has Cam Heyward missed a practice that the Steelers wanted him to be at that he was not at. That has not happened at any point this year. Not 1 rep. They're perfectly fine with the amount of work he has done already. And now, was this vet day a vet day because the Steelers said, hey, Cam, take it off? Did Cam decide he wanted to take it off? Did Cam want to take it off because of his contract situation? The Steelers are just calling it a vet day. I don't know. I suppose all that's possible. I'm still fairly certain Cam is going to play on Sunday, and I don't think any of this matters.
I was going to say, like, because he was scheduled to speak prior to practice.
Well, no. I mean, no, he was not scheduled to speak prior to practice. Cam has typically, over the years, spoken Thursdays before practice, but that doesn't mean anything. Guys change days. Guys decide not to have a time where they are going to be. Like the Steelers don't have to have anybody with a scheduled time to practice to talk to the media. It's just something they do with certain players for our convenience, sometimes for the players' convenience, sometimes because the players don't want to do it and it's easier for the PR team to have a specific time they can wrangle them up. But
Okay.
especially in week one, like I would not be reading. I mean, Cam obviously has not spoken to the media and has not been available to the media in, I don't know, what is it now, 3 weeks, something like that. But I would not read anything into him not talking to us this morning like he was supposed to or something like that.
Yeah. All right. So I'm not going to name names, but I said that word for word the way that was put out by somebody that covers the team. So they put it out there as scheduled. That's the only reason I said it that way. So, all right. Good to know.
I mean, yeah. Has traditionally talked to the media on Thursday morning would be fair, but I think Najee Harris in his time in Pittsburgh had like 3 different times where he talked to the media over over different seasons. Like it just, especially in week one, like we're all still trying to figure out what people's routines are going to be. When the quarterback wants to talk has changed over the years too, and that happens first and foremost. So like Aaron Rodgers talked after practice yesterday. So that changes when other people can go. You can't have everybody talking at the same time. You got to spread them out. So, I mean, I wouldn't read anything into specifically him not talking to us this morning. Now, he hasn't talked to us in weeks, like I said. Feel free to read into that. But I don't think there was anything special that was supposed to happen this morning that did not.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Good to know. In terms of participation, Nick Herbig, once again, a limited participant in practice. The clip that I saw, I mean, he looked pretty good. Again, like I'm not going to say for sure that I'm going to see him out there on Sunday, but again, just eye test watching him, he looks like he's in pretty good shape to go there. However, maybe related, maybe not related. Malik Harrison getting some reps on the edge. I mean, they're going to need, hands in the pile when it comes to that position. When you talk about Nick Herbig dealing with what he's dealing with, Alex Highsmith, just got back out there recently, didn't do much in training camp and didn't see any time in the preseason. Then you got a 4th-round rookie in Jack Sawyer. So, certainly I think it makes sense to give Malik Harrison some reps there. But is that all there is to this, or do you think that this could be injury-related as well and they're hedging their bet?
I mean, I think it makes sense, but Malik Harrison said that's actually just part of his normal routine for him, is that he likes to go over there once a week and get some work in.
Oh, okay.
All right. So, I mean, I think this was.
Had you noticed it before, though?
No, this is the first time I've seen him do it. So, I get one thing when there's 90 guys around, you don't want to be taking reps away from a player who's trying to make the team.
That's fair.
It's not really fair to those guys. But now that there's a lot shorter line, it's a little different to go hang over at the end of it and say, hey, let me hit some pass rush moves, and make sure that I'm where I need to be if I got to go over there in a game. And he did say that is the plan. Like if they get into a situation in game where they're down an edge rusher, that he will move to outside linebacker. Obviously, they don't need to play him a lot of reps at linebacker. He's a distant 4th in terms of maybe like this game because the Jets are going to be very run heavy and they do have a fullback on their roster. We might see a little bit more of him than some others, but I still would expect him to play pretty limited reps inside. So being ready to play outside just makes all the sense in the world.
And I don't know, I mean, you could chime in here in terms of how you feel about his work on the edge. Some of what I saw in Baltimore, I feel like over there, honestly, I'd feel pretty similarly to Jack Sawyer right now, just because I think Malik Harrison can defend the run on the edge. He sets it pretty well, but I didn't see him really bring much in terms of pass rush juice off the edge. What would be, if he had to go and play snaps on the edge, do you feel similarly, or do you feel like there's more to tap into there?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call him a great pass rusher. I would think maybe compared to Sawyer, a little bit more naturally athletic. If you're talking about trying to bring down Justin Fields in the open field, I think maybe would be a little bit better at that. But probably not as shorter arms. So dealing with tight end combo block, setting the edge, maybe not quite so good. But I think they're fairly comparable.
Okay. I actually want to talk a little bit, unless do you have more from today at all that you feel like was worth? Well, I know that I want to bring up your conversation with the Super Bowl champion from last year, whose team from last year is playing tonight, but it kind of plays into the whole Thursday night thing. So other than that conversation with Darius Slay, was there anything else from today you feel like worth mentioning?
No, I kind of feel like that's it. I mean, I talked to Daniel Ekuale about the defensive line depth. Said kind of they feel good about whatever happens with Cam, and obviously not having Derek Harmon. They're pretty confident. He's started all last season with New England. He feels like fine, go ahead, play me. Like this group will do. And him and Wyatt Black and Isaiah Lattimore are going to play a lot, kind of no matter what happens. So,
yeah, and that is a position that we talked about. We feel like there's certainly some pretty quality depth. They lost one guy with Dean Lowry, and it's still a very good group. So, yeah, I feel good there. But okay, we can dive into what I wanted to. The segue here is going to be this conversation with Darius Slay, though. Won a Super Bowl last year with the Philadelphia Eagles, who kick off their season tonight against the Dallas Cowboys. But obviously, Darius Slay now here. He's got his Super Bowl ring already. He's going to be watching just like all of us tonight, Alan, as his team from last year. That banner drops down. And what did he have to say about just that experience and what he's going to be feeling tonight?
Yeah, so he said they're going over to Deshaun Elliott's house. I guess he was kind of giving Deshaun Elliott a little jab about, I guess he's the last one there to get paid or something. I don't know. He's calling him like big contract guy or something like that. So that's why they're going to Elliott's house. So I don't know what the backstory is there. Obviously, Darius Slay making plenty of money himself. But going to Elliott's house, so he'll be with his Steelers teammates. But he did say, I'm bringing the ring. I'm going to put it on. I might get a little bit emotional. And he said, I really wish I could be there. I'm very happy to be with the Steelers and be playing with the Steelers. He's like, but tonight I kind of wish I could just get in a helicopter and go to Philadelphia and watch that banner drop because, he spent a lot of time there, put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into that organization. And obviously a hard-earned and well-deserved honor for everyone in Philly. But it was just kind of cool to hear him talk about that emotion so frankly. I think a lot of times, we just talked about yesterday with Aaron Rodgers, he didn't want to talk about the emotions of going back and playing the Jets. He didn't want Chuck Clark. Brandon Howell went over to talk to Chuck Clark today. Chuck Clark was with the Jets last year. He was like, I'm not giving you any sound bites. So guys don't like to talk about stuff like that. So I thought it was really cool. Obviously, the Steelers don't play the Eagles this year. So there's no that part of it can be set aside and he can just kind of speak honestly. And I thought that was pretty cool.
I mean, I'm always going to appreciate the honesty, but I do think in the back of his, not maybe his mind, but a lot of athletes, why they wouldn't say that is because then they're worried it comes across as not wanting to be here and just how the fan base could take it if he could have been there, he'd still be there and he doesn't really want to be here. We were a second option or whatever. But I mean, like I said, I appreciate the honesty. And I don't question the motivation or what he's going to play like this year for the Steelers just because he's not in Philly.
Yeah, I mean, I think every exit between a player and a team is different. I don't get the sense that Darius Slay was looking to leave Philly. But once, I mean, you get the memo and you say, okay, here I go. I think he's very happy to be in Pittsburgh and, understanding that, look, if the Eagles don't win a Super Bowl, what is the market for a 34-year-old cornerback who's getting cut loose by his previous team? That's a big thing for him personally, in addition to the team. So I just thought it was a rare, cool insight into actual emotions, and I thought it was really said look, I'm going to put my ring on, I might shed a tear, and then it's got to be back to reality. You can't live in that past.
Yeah.
He also said, as if there was any question as to who he's going to be rooting for, he still hates the Cowboys. So that's great. You gotta love that. Anytime you can stoke an old rival. And then look, Steelers fans, of course, no lovers of the Dallas Cowboys either. So some common ground there.
And should be hoping they go 0-17 this year, and we have the very first pick of the third round because of the George Pickens trade. So want them to lose, obviously, regardless. All right, let's talk about that a little bit, because I'm just curious from your perspective. You sit down to watch Thursday Night Football tonight, just like I will be. Are you just watching it as an enjoyer of the game, or for you, when you watch two different teams play, are you always somehow trying to tie it back to the Steelers?
Oh, I mean, I'm always looking for stories. So, I mean, you mentioned George Pickens. That's like, I have a hard time believing there won't be some kind of George Pickens story to come out of that game. And so, like, the sort of reporter lizard brain never turns off. You're always looking for something to write about. And I think I just, outside of that, love football and have my own personal interests, whether that's Saquon Barkley on my fantasy team or, curiosity about, route trees or whatever. I'm always – it's impossible to separate passion for football from work because it all ties back around eventually. Like, I may not be watching it with, like, work in mind, but I think if you're not into fantasy football, if you're not into learning about the X's and O's of the game and watching for trends and just learning about the sport in general, you're not going to be very good at this job. And so I think you kind of have to be football obsessed to be good at this. So I'm not watching it. Like, there's nothing I have specifically on my agenda for tonight, but we'll certainly be watching what George Pickens does. And like you said, the Steelers have a slight motivation, not like picks moving in the third round matters that much, but a slight motivation to see the Cowboys fail from a trade value standpoint. I think they probably have look, I mean, the Steelers ate some shit for that trade. Like they would probably feel very good if Pickens does not go off against the Philadelphia Eagles. Like that, they probably would be very happy about that.
If George doesn't play well, again, Cowboys go 0-17, pick 65, which is a lot better than in 90 something. Why am I so 96? Yeah. But not that I expect the Cowboys to do that this year. But all right, interesting stuff. And you mentioned stuff that you got going on tonight. Of course, between this and that kickoff, just want to plug real quick, you will be with Julianne Pelusi's Pick'ems. Look forward to that on the channel being live in between this and kickoff for the Cowboys and Eagles. Alan, we got an interesting question that I wanted to bring up here. This comes from Aaron Talanoa. He said, do you think NFL owners circumvent the salary cap rules much like the Clippers allegedly have? How does Rooney being one of, and I love this, how does Rooney being one of the poorest rich owners affect the Steelers? Poorest rich in back-to-back words I enjoyed reading that.
Yeah, I would like to be his level of poor. That would be great. If I
You'd be watching this game a lot differently tonight.
If I could be just as poor as Art Rooney, I would be very happy with that. Yeah, absolutely. NFL teams circumvent the salary cap. We know this because they've gotten caught. This is not the Steelers actually ran afoul of the salary cap many, many years ago. The San Francisco 49ers more recently had a forfeited draft pick for and most of these are like highly technical things. I don't know that people are out there paying people with no-show jobs and things of that nature. But usually it's more like, doing things in a way to skirt a requirement, setting up contracts a certain way to get around certain things that, may or may not be explicitly against the rule, but is certainly against the spirit of the rules. That stuff is, I don't want to say fairly common, but I'm 100% sure there's at least one NFL team doing that kind of stuff right now. In terms of big, brash violations of the salary cap, the NFL is pretty good at stuff like that. It would kind of surprise me if there's teams like shoveling tens of millions of dollars into couch cushions or something like that. Like I don't want to say it's impossible, but I would be pretty surprised by that.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Like, as a follow up, is what exactly is done to like always keep an eye on this, if you will, and make sure that this isn't happening. Like, how is the NFL and NFLPA kind of keeping an eye on these organizations to make sure something like this doesn't happen?
Well, the NFLPA plays a big role because they publish salaries. And so that is how every NFL team can check the league. Like every NFL team has someone who is calculating the salary cap of every other NFL team. And then if someone's like check on that using the data that made public by the NFLPA, and if someone's check looks fishy, then they'll go to the league and say, hey, in the instance of the 49ers, what did the 49ers do with this contract? Because it looks to us like they should be over the cap. You know, and so and that benefits the union too, because then players can't hide salaries, teams can't hide salaries. I think we got a question about this not that long ago, where like, is it possible for a player or a team to not publicize their salary in order to prevent it from becoming a precedent? And that is not possible for that very reason. That, you know, everybody has to be operating with the same information. And so the union and the league make sure that the teams are able to check one another because all the information is public. And so it makes it fairly hard for teams to blatantly or by a lot of money cheat the system. There are things you can do that are kind of sneaky that may work or may not work. One of them that I know is like a big gray area is like you can set up incentives in a way that will like push them to the next year. And you can do that in bad faith, certainly. So like incentives are either classified as likely to be earned or not likely to be earned. And that depends on basically like whether that was done last year. So like if the Steelers wanted to give Cam Heyward a bonus this year for becoming an All-Pro, they wanted to add that to his contract this year. That bonus would count against the Steelers cap first, whether it happened or not, because Cam Heyward was an All-Pro last year.
Yeah.
And then if he did not make the All-Pro, they would get a credit towards their 2026 cap. But of course, you can find a way to add some clause to it that was not met last year that is sort of irrelevant. Like Cam Heyward is an All-Pro and also plays 20 snaps against the Buffalo Bills, then it counts. Well, now that would be unlikely to be earned because he didn't play 20 snaps against the Buffalo Bills last year. The Steelers didn't play the Buffalo Bills last year, so it would have been impossible. You know, that's an example, and I'm not sure they'd get away with that one. But that's how teams can kind of try to. There's lots of those little gray areas where teams will try to take advantage. And I think it's in one of those areas that the 49ers got caught a couple of years ago. But like, never in like blatant tens of millions of dollars fashion. I would be pretty surprised by that.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Good stuff. We got a question here, and this is very unrelated, but it's from our guy, Berg Sports Fan. He asked, and I just want to get your perspective on this. Maybe this was supposed to be rhetorical, but I'm going to read it anyway. So he says, so we're finally here at the regular season, fellas. Just want to get your perspective. I don't think anybody would have blamed you guys if you went to like a once a week show during the off season, but you managed to put content out daily for us. How in the world did you guys come up with topics to talk about every single day? Appreciate the content. Just curious.
I can't say it was any like master plan or anything like that. Like usually how it works is I join the room here and we go, so what do you want to talk about today? And in the next 10 to 15 minutes, we hash it out and we record the episode. mean, I don't know. I feel like we were somewhat blessed by a particularly newsy Steelers offseason. There have been years
we did the previous offseason though as well.
Yeah, I feel like there have been years where the Steelers did very little in the offseason and maybe we would have struggled. Also, I just feel like you and I really enjoy the draft. And so like the first 3 months of the offseason do not at any point ever feel like we were scrounging for material. Just because like I could talk about the draft.
Yeah.
Like there's 400 players you can talk about. Like there's an sort of endless amount of topics. Definitely the 6 weeks between OTAs and training camp are a bit of a drag. And that's when we decided to go and bring some guests in, which definitely helped keep things fresh. I feel like that's and then we each took a week off in there. I don't know about you, but in that time, if I didn't get
I was only gone for 2 days from here, basically.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But even that, like, get some time off, and I think that helps a lot.
Yeah, I mean, within that time that you're talking about as well, like they signed Aaron Rodgers officially, even though we were expecting it the entire time, and then the Minka Fitzpatrick trade happened as well with Jalen Ramsey and Johnny Smith coming here. So, like, yeah, again, I think the offseason and TJ Watt signed. So the offseason definitely played into it, but I have two things to me that play into this. One, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, there's always be something going on worth talking about. They're a global brand. There's always something that we can be discussing on here. And the second part of it, tying into that, is the audience. Like, they're always going to present topics for us to talk about. We always talk about how important they are. You go through our comments every single day, and I mean, we can't get to literally every single one, but if we needed to come up with topics and really couldn't, we can always turn to those comments, and there's going to be stuff in there to discuss, which kind of plays into this. I forgot to read this yesterday, but our guy, Joe, gave us a follow-up after that donation, stuff like that, sent you another message. Alan, Smitty, and Joe, but Joe was on the show that night, so he addressed him as well, which is nice to include him in that. Thank you so much for the shout-out on yesterday's Steelers Afternoon Drive. Not only do you present great analysis, but you also do an excellent job of including and interacting with the fans. Much appreciated. I am looking forward to the new show. Talks about including the fans.
Went great, by the way. Steelers Night Shift last night. First episode. I thought it went off really well. Well, Joe did a great job hosting it. I was entertained. We had a ton of – you want to talk about not being able to get to all the comments. Yeah. Definitely could not get to all the comments on that show. So Joe's going to have a bit of a job to do in terms of sorting through them every week. But also thought it was good to put that out on – like we went live on Twitter and Facebook in addition to on YouTube. Try to like corral some people from different platforms. I think that's something we probably haven't done enough of. So that was fun as well.
Yeah. No, full transparency. I was recording my other podcast around the 4 and 2 when you guys started, so I had to go back and catch up on some of it. But definitely thought it went well, and we didn't lie to the people in terms of the intro. We weren't messing around. Like it's not Afternoon Drive, but it's up there. It's up there.
Yeah, we're still working on tonight's show. Me and Julie. She's in Italy, so we'll see how this one goes. Yeah. We have some technical hurdles to overcome. But still working on that one. We may not have the full graphics package available to us for week 1 here, but we're getting there.
It's a work in progress. Yeah. All right. Well, good stuff. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to the conversation tomorrow. Also, 3 shows in 4 days with a guest because tomorrow's a DB Friday. I feel like we should always say tentatively when you're talking about a man that has 2 young children, something could always happen, I guess. But DB is scheduled, unlike Cam Heyward was, to speak with us tomorrow on the podcast. So looking forward to that. But until then, Alan, tell the people they can find you.
Hey, Saunders _ PGH on X, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. PGH Steelers Now. That's the account, SteelersNow.com. Go there, read the word so I can get paid. Sign up for SN Plus and get all the best stuff from me, DB, the rest of the Steelers Now team. Ad-free reading experience, subs-only live stream, access to both Pittsburgh Baseball Now and Pittsburgh Hockey Now, plus articles and all kinds of other stuff. And, of course, anyone can subscribe, hit that bell for notifications here on the YouTube channel. Smitty, where are we at?
We are at 16,000 600 and two of my favorite unsung running backs were this number, but I'm going to go with a man ahead of his time as a pass-catching running back in my mind, Mewelde Moore.
Mewelde Moore, 23.
No, 21.
Oh, 21. Oh, my bad.
Mm-hmm.
21. I've got a couple here. Interesting that you went to running back with 21. I would think of that as much more of a cornerback number.
So if you're not going to say running back,
safety,
I'll steal your
right?
I'm willing to steal your thunder if you're not going to say running back here.
Go for it.
Say the other one on my mind was Amos Zaraway.
That's a great pull. I love me some Amos Zaraway. I'm going to go with Ricardo Coakley for 21.
Okay.
He went to, I think is it Tiffin College? Something like that. Some little D3 school. And during OTAs, a coach from his school was at practice. And so I brought him up, and the guy had, of course, heard of him because I doubt they have too many NFL alumni. So that was cool. But yeah, the other 21
he went to two colleges. One was called Kilgore, and then Tuscaloosa.
Oh, Tusculum. That's Tusculum.
Or Tusculum. Okay.
Tiffin is also a small college. Tusculum. Got my T's.
I would say I've heard of Tiffin. I don't know where it is.
Yeah. Tusculum. That's right. And the other 21, Amos Zaraway is a good pull. Dion Figures, going back a little bit further, was a really good cornerback for the Steelers. Wore 21 back in the 90s. I'm trying to think if there was a 70s guy that wore 21, but it's not coming to the top of my head.
You know who was wearing 21 but did not make the roster was Hakeem Butler.
The last couple of years, they've just given 21 to like a wide receiver who's not going to make the team. Jeray Jenkins wore it the following year.
Yeah.
And I think somebody else had it maybe in like rookie camp or something like that this year. I can't remember who it was.
Sean Davis also wore 21.
Yeah, it has been a number of
so also Joe Hayden wore it before he switched to 23 when he originally came here.
Oh yeah, that 1 year, yeah.
Tony Dungy.
That's who wore it in the 70s. I knew there was somebody. Tony Dungy. There you go.
Yep. All right. Anyways, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, hit us in the comments your thoughts, anything that we talked about today, question for a future episode, all that good stuff. If you're listening somewhere else, Apple, Spotify, wherever your podcast from, be sure to leave a 5-star review and subscribe over there. Just search Steelers Afternoon Drive. Do the same thing on TikTok, and then hit me up everywhere. Zachary Smith, PGH, Round Saunders, and myself. Thanks for jumping in. Take another ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive.